I'd like you to think about something that you purchased in the last 6 months, something that you wanted or needed, and you purchased it based on getting some functionality or use out of it. Now, there's a good chance that if you paid for it, that you want that functionality. You want it to work. And the same holds true in a checkpoint environment, because when we're buying licenses and putting in the gateways to do URL filtering or application control or anti-malware or intrusion prevention services or threat management, we're expecting those features to actually work once they're configured. However, here's the problem. If Bob, the user, sitting at this PC right here, is going out to an OK website based on URL filtering, what happens if Bob tries to download some malicious content? Well, if that session right there is based on HTTPS, which could be SSL or TLS, and so the session between Bob's computer and that site is completely encrypted, the gateway, if that session's encrypted, the gateway can't take a look at the application layer information to see what's really going on. Is it malicious code coming back? Is there a threat? It can't tell because the session is all encrypted. Or if Bob is trying to go to a risky site that's been identified as a category that we want to deny at the gateway, we can enforce that policy, but a clever user, like Bob, could go ahead and go out to a proxy server on the internet, build an SSL/TLS session there. So once again, that session is encrypted to this proxy server, and then from the proxy server, Bob could go ahead and initiate a connection over to the risky site. And once again, because the session that the gateway sees between the PC and the proxy server, that's all encrypted, it can't look at that application layer data and see that there's another session as a tunnel within this session that's going out to the risky site. So one partial solution is that on the gateway, we could set up a policy that says if Bob's trying to go, or any users are trying to go to a web server that's in the category of proxy servers, we could deny that as well. But even if Bob is going to an OK site and does happen to get some malicious software coming back, the policy blocking Bob going to proxy servers doesn't solve that problem. So a better and bigger solution is the idea of HTTPS inspection. What we can do is we can tell the gateway to pay attention to any sessions that are based on SSL/TLS, any HTTPS sessions. And when it sees one, instead of actually sending Bob, the user, out to that site, instead the firewall can establish its own SSL/TLS session with Bob's computer. So there would be an SSL/TLS session here between the PC and the firewall. And then out here, the gateway would establish an HTTPS session between the site that Bob was trying to go to and itself. So we'll have two HTTPS sessions, one here and a second one here. And as we look at this, if you're thinking, wow, that looks like it's kind of like a proxy, you'd be absolutely right. It's like an HTTPS proxy between Bob and the site that Bob's trying to go to. Now, the benefit of this is that the traffic is all encrypted here, the traffic is all encrypted here, but in the mind and memory for a few milliseconds, whatever Bob is actually retrieving or sending to that server is going to be unencrypted on that gateway. And the benefit of having that information, that session, unencrypted for a moment or two here on the gateway is that the gateway can now look at the application layer information. It's not encrypted in memory. And so it can look for malicious applications. It can look for certain categories of apps. It can look for tunneled sessions that might be going through a proxy server. And as a result of being able to see and have the visibility at the application layer, it can then enforce the policy regarding allowing or denying types of traffic because it has a clear view of them for a few moments due to HTTP inspection on the gateway. In this nugget, we've taken a look at the concept of HTTPS inspection in a checkpoint environment. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.